In August of 2025, I watched Takopi's Original Sin. The premise is that you have a girl who is living a terrible life where her mother neglects her dad's abandoned her, all she has is this dog that keeps her company, and she's getting bullied at school ruthlessly, and eventually she runs into this cute little pink alien who's called Takopi, and his goal is to bring happiness to Shizuka. Eventually she commits suicide, and Takopi winds back time so that he can prevent it. But there's a few things I want to talk about. Firstly, production-wise, this is beautiful. The art, the animation, the colors, the directing, everything about this is absolutely phenomenal. There's a million shots I could show you that are fantastic in this show. One of the most incredible shots is in episode 5 when you have Marina being abused by her mother in her house, and then you go and see Azuma and Shizuka, and they're sitting on a wooden log or something, and the sun is panning around them, and the rays of light are scattering past their heads, and it's casting a shadow but also doing the blooming effect. I've never seen animation like that. It looks so good. There's also the scene where Marina is standing on top of the bloodied corpse of her mother that she just killed, and Takopi goes into a ship and is like, "Don't worry, Marina, I'll go kill Shizuka for you." And it's like the stark contrast of the words he's saying and his happy, cute appearance, and the little cute spaceship is in, and just visually it's so beautiful. The animation is great. The clouds are really cool, and when he flies in the distance, and these sparkles are like going into Marina's room and fading out as she stands there and is about to kill herself with the bottle. It's just so visually amazing. Even there's like small details in this that I like a lot, which is that even inside the character's eyes, there's dynamic shapes. Whenever Takopi is disguised as a human, he has like a little pink dot in the corner of his eye. Whenever Shizuka is getting excited about things, she'll get stars in her eyes. Or whenever Azuma is in love with Shizuka, he gets little love hearts in his eyes. It's just so cool. Little things like that make it stand out. The other thing I liked a lot just visually is when eventually we go to Planet Happy, and it's like a completely different art style to the rest of the show. It's really cool. He does a good job of making this planet feel very alien. And the final production thing I want to say is that I really like the music in this as well, especially one song, which is the main theme in the show. I don't know how to say it beyond, it conveys a very complex feeling of innocence, but also incredible sadness, but also joy at the same time. It's like a very interesting feeling that the song conveys. I really like it. So yeah, production-wise, this is a phenomenally produced show. Last year, I talked about how Look Back is like one of the best visual things I've seen in my life. This year, Takopi's Original Sin is one of the best looking things I've seen in my life. Absolutely beautiful show. The second thing is that the story was paced and structured fantastically. It's only 6 episodes, which is good, really quick to get through this, and you get a nice, cohesive, complete story in 6 episodes. But there's a good amount of time spent on all the main characters. You had a good amount of time on Shizuka and Marina, on Azuma, and on Takopi. And it really feels rewarding by the end of the show, where you know all these characters pretty well, and you get really good conclusions to them all. Also, structure-wise, it's a really interesting structure where you have dual protagonists and you have dual villains, where you have Marina and Shizuka, and at one point of the story, Shizuka is the protagonist and Marina is the villain, and then you swap it, and for a few episodes in the latter half of the show, you have Marina as the protagonist, you have Shizuka as the villain. And I've never seen a show like this before. It's kind of cool. Number 1, production great. Number 2, paced and structured fantastically. And then number 3, the story is emotionally gripping, engaging, and has a fantastic conclusion. The story inspires great sympathy. It's obviously a very depressing story where you're following children who are living terrible lives, and the show does a very good job of just making you sympathize with them, feel terrible for them. So the first one is obviously Shizuka. Her story is obviously very sad. Seeing her neglected is incredibly saddening, and the fact that she believes that she can't do anything about it is heartbreaking. We have Marina, who's being abused by her mother, and her dad is cheating on her mum, and her home life is a mess, and you feel terrible for that. You have Azuma, who's feeling like a failure and a useless kind of son, and is always being compared to his brother, and that feels incredibly sad as well. And at one point, at the end of his big episode, where he's the main character basically, he's breaking down to his brother about how he just hasn't been able to talk to his mother, and he just feels so lost. And the thing he says is that, "Mum bought these glasses for me, but I couldn't tell her the lenses aren't right for me anymore." And I felt like, man, it's such a real thing. A kid who's really worried about just disappointing his mum. He can't even bring up this tiny thing. It was so sad. But talking about sympathy, the last one is, of course, Takopi at the end, where he's just struggling to understand things and he can't explain himself, but is there for Shizuka regardless. And there's so much sympathy in this story for these characters, and I love it a lot. But another thing the story does is that it inspires great hatred. The show does a wonderful job of making you hate Marina for bullying this poor young Shizuka who believes that she can't do anything about her situation. And then in the latter half of the show, the story inspires great hate toward the neglectful parents and adults in this story. Every parent and adult is neglectful, where obviously, you know, Shizuka's mum is never home and she's escorting, and Marina's dad is obviously not there, and Shizuka's dad has abandoned her, and Marina's mum is incredibly abusive and cuts her with a bottle and gives her a scar, and Azuma's mum is incredibly overbearing and has too high expectations. And even their teacher, there's a few scenes we get of the teacher just coming in and they completely lack energy and they're really depressed in the way they speak, and they clearly don't notice or care that Shizuka is being bullied and everyone's with death and die and slut and all that stuff on her locker and her desk, and it inspires great hatred in these people, you know. The story is great, getting emotions out of you, which is obviously everything I like in a story, whenever a story can make me feel things. But other than this, the story also has a bunch of small mysteries that keep you engaged and unresolved plot threads that are constantly in the back of your mind when you're watching. And I have a few. So one is that obviously, is Chappie alive? It's a central thing. With the show, you're kind of like, I think he's probably dead, but you don't know for sure until the end. That's the thing that keeps you interested the whole time. You've got the mystery of why can't Takopi go back to Planet Happy? What happened there? You hear about it at the beginning of episode 1. In the opening, you see his spaceship crash, and it's like, what's happening here? So you're constantly interested in what's going on there. It's a lot of mysteries, which keep you on the edge of your seat, which I like a lot. And now the final thing I want to talk about, story-wise, is the simple, earnest conclusion. What happens is that toward the end of this show, in the final episode, you have a final confrontation between Shizuka and Takopi. And Takopi goes and he apologizes for not understanding how she feels. And then Shizuka starts beating on him with a rock, physically and verbally. And eventually just starts breaking down crying. There's no solution at all. She just accepts that her life is the way it is, and hurting Takopi isn't going to do anything about it. It's just incredibly sad. Firstly, I love the beginning of this scene where you're seeing Takopi stand up against Shizuka for the first time, because he has realized that there is more to life than purely providing Shizuka's happiness. Shizuka's happiness isn't worth the death of Marina. Shizuka's happiness isn't worth these people having their stomachs cut open. And also Takopi's own happiness. He brings up the fact that Shizuka doing these things makes him sad. And it's not right. And I really, really liked how he stood up to her. Just the way that it's done visually as well is really beautiful. Golden stars shining off him and going into Shizuka's view. And we're seeing her perspective, the stars sparkling near her, but the stars fade and they turn purple as they go to Shizuka. Takopi's words still aren't getting to her. It's phenomenal. And I just want to emphasize that Takopi is such an interesting perspective that we see the story through. Takopi's perspective is basically the perspective of a naive child who was forced into a position as a caretaker over someone who's very clearly depressed, and he himself is hurting too. Firstly, this isn't a thing that would even happen in reality, so it's not like, oh, what a great theme Takopi embodies or anything. It's just an interesting perspective. He doesn't really know much about the world or much about humans. He doesn't understand complex psychology or anything like that. He's just trying to help Shizuka, but he can't because he doesn't really understand her. And it's so sad, and I feel for him. It's an interesting perspective. So more on this conclusion stuff. I love Shizuka's breakdown, and specifically the certain things she says, the small things she points to that a child would point to that are just so heartbreaking. And one of them is that, what should I have done when an adult asked me, are your parents home, but no one was? Like, what is she supposed to say to that? And it's little things like that to get to her. And this is the one that really got to me, which is that she says, they all say I stink, but where do I stink? Mum never told me. It's just incredibly sad to see a kid. Just people tell her she stinks, but not tell her how to fix it. It gets to me. Oh my goodness. Poor Shizuka. But yeah, after the scene with Takopi, she walks for, who knows, days and days, maybe weeks. And she's crying the whole time. She's just crying. There's no solution. It's not like a cry of like, oh, I'm going to let all these tears out and then I'm going to be great. She's just crying. There's nothing you can do. And it's just beautiful. The insert song is just absolutely beautiful. And it's just sad. I love when the show makes me sad, and it very much makes me sad. But then Takopi, he basically resets the world and leaves some traces of himself behind that will eventually connect Shizuka and Marina. And then we get the big wrap up, which is that bad things have happened. Bad things will continue to happen. And your life isn't going to turn around. But things can be made better through talking. That is the conclusion that we get. And it's such a small, earnest thing where talking just makes things better. It's not going to make your life good. It's not going to change your future. It's not really going to do much, but it'll give you someone to talk to. And I just find this so perfect as a conclusion. She's still going to be neglected. Her dad's going to abandon her. She's still going to try and commit suicide, but fail. Marina's still going to get abused and have the scar on her face from her mother when she broke the bottle on her. But now these lives can be tolerated because the two of them are able to talk to each other about them. Just having someone to talk to can make an intolerable life tolerable. And it's just such a heartfelt, wonderful conclusion. It's fantastic. And the episode ends with Marina and Shizuka. They're just walking away into the distance together, side by side, as the music for the ending is playing. The credits are coming down and we're panning up to the sky. And in the sky, we're seeing these stars, and some of them are pink, obviously to symbolize Takopi's influence on their lives. And it's just so perfect. I love it. I was crying so much. Happiness is born through talking, as Takopi would say. But that's what I got for the story. Now I have some themes. There's two that I think are pretty key in this. One is understanding, obviously. So if you try to help someone without truly understanding them, like Takopi tries to do, then you can make things worse. Because clearly he went, and the reason that Shizuka killed herself is because he gave her the ribbon and he didn't understand what was going on there. And obviously that's what's going on here. Understanding is important. And the second theme, which I think is the central theme to this, which is what makes the conclusion so fantastic, is communication. So like I said before, sometimes you go through things that are just plain terrible and there's nothing you can really do about it, but talking to other people about it can help you get through it. Eventually there will be people like Marina who will help you get through it, and people like Shizuka from Marina's perspective who will help you get through it. And there's also going to be people who don't understand it, like Takopi, who regardless are going to be by your side the whole time to try and help you get through it. And those people are also valuable. The communication is, I think, the big conclusion of this. Just talk to people. You never know who might be able to help you, who might be there with you, who might empathize with you. Just talk to people. You know, happiness is born through talking. Now I have a bunch of miscellaneous notes that I want to talk about. Firstly, I absolutely love Takopi's voice actor. She is fantastic. And this isn't a voice acting thing, but the fact that Takopi ends all his sentences in Pete, like, I'm happy Pete, is very cute. And even how in serious moments he's still saying it. It's not like a cute thing he does. It's literally just part of the way he speaks. I like it a lot. I also really, really like Shizuka's voice actor, especially in that breakdown scene when she's yelling at Takopi and beating him with a rock and talking about, oh, people tell me I smell, but I don't know where. She's a fantastic voice actor. Also, it's like a cute character quirk, which is that Shizuka likes bugs. You don't need to have this in this story. It's not relevant. Like, there's no thing where it's like, oh, bugs are like really important. But it's cute, just a little net that catch bugs. It's a cute little character detail, you know? There's the really cool scene where Shizuka goes to visit her dad. And from our audience's perspective, we see her as very clean and pristine and very happy and excited. But in reality, when we see Shizuka from the dad's perspective, or the world of the story, she's very dirty and depressed, and it's just so sad, and I really like it. In the final episode, there's this incredibly cute but incredibly sad thing that happens, which is that Shizuka opens up her travel book for when her and Azuma were planning to go to Tokyo, and she has a little $5 coin, 500 yen, and it says, use only when you're in serious trouble. It's so sad, because she is in serious trouble, but also it's like a thing a kid would think of, like $5 is gonna get you by. It's cute and sad at the same time, and I love it. I don't know, I feel like I barely talked about this show. There's so much to talk about how great this is. It is very likely my favorite anime of all time. Maybe one day I'll do a proper scripted review, or maybe I'll just talk about this more. If you haven't seen this, what are you doing? Go watch Takopi's Original Sin. This is a story where the story is fantastic, the production is fantastic, I cried, I laughed. I'm so glad this story exists. But that's it. Takopi's Original Sin.